This is CGZ's Gen 4 Montero rear tailgate door interior release handle. A modification that you can do because there's no handle on the inside of the back door to open it up. So you can install this piece and then you'll have something. But what we're going to do, since we don't have Gen 4 Monteros in the US, is we're going to modify some things to install it on a Gen 3. That's 2001 to 2006. Let me show you how to do it. I think the first thing that I'm going to do, you don't have to do this. You could install it with this handle and then you'll have basically a hole from the inside of the plastic trim piece, and you can go like this to open up the door. But it takes quite a bit of force, and I think what I want to do instead is hook up like a piece of paracord running from this release out, and that'll just make it a lot easier to open this thing up. I think it'll look a little cleaner too. So that's what I'm going to try doing. The first thing I'm going to do is drill a hole at the bottom of this orange handle, like right there, I think is what I'm going to go for. All right, so what I used was a 9/64 drill bit through the aluminum handle there. And then I just took some paracord, regular thickness paracord, and put it through with like a knot on the other side, cauterized the end. And I just got a lot of length here because I don't know exactly how much I'm gonna need, so I just cut more than I think I'm gonna need. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna install this in the vehicle, and then what we'll do is we'll drill a hole through the plastic back panel, and we'll have a loop on this, and then when you pull this paracord loop, it'll pull this handle, which forces this arm that way, which unlocks the door. So that's the plan. So the first thing you're going to need to do is remove the rear plastic panel. Now, I'm not going to do a whole video on that, but I will link in the description to a video that someone else did where they are replacing the rear tailgate handle, like the external one, and since those often break, and they go through how to remove this whole panel. I think they do, at least in that video. But I mean, just real quickly, it's whatever you have here, whether it's a toolbox or a storage tray, that needs to be taken out. If it's a toolbox, open up the lid and there'll be some bolts that you remove, like 3 bolts there. If it's the storage tray like I had, there's just 2 here at the top. And then on this side, there is a screw in each one of these little indents, one there and one there. And that's it for this. Outside of everything else is just push clips. So it'll rip right out. But on the top, it is behind the panel that's above it, which is the one that goes here and then comes around on the top of the door. So that you would just remove the 2 bolts that hold on the pull handle, and then you would remove these screws right here that go up through your lights. And then, so once you've got those 2 screws out, those 2 bolts out, same thing. The only thing that's holding on this piece of plastic is push clips and like these little Velcro squares, so then you can pop it out. And that's how your door will look. Then the next thing you're gonna do, once you get to this point, is you're gonna have this bracket right here. And that bracket is what those 2 bolt holes right there, what they attach to. So it's just it's held on by 3 10mm bolts. I just took out the top 2 10mm and then just loosened this one so it can kind of hang down. Okay, and then you're gonna come and you're gonna look up in here. This is the back of your exterior tailgate handle. There's gonna be a 10mm bolt right there, nut I should say, just looks just like that side. Remove that. Up here is where the rod attaches to go to the actuator to unlock when you squeeze the door handle from the outside, like that. You're going to pop this plastic locking piece open, like I've done here, and then that will allow you to pop this rod out, like that, okay? So that's what that needs to look like. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and loosen up these 2 screws just a little bit. And this is how it's going to go in. This one right there needs to go onto that 10mm stud, where your tailgate handle was bolted. So go ahead and attach that loosely. So we've got that attached loosely. Now, here's the trickiest part. That hole at the end of the arm is going to go behind the hole with the plastic, and this little spike is going to go right there. It's going to kind of capture it. Let's see if I can get it done here with one hand. Not the easiest thing in the world, but we've got to almost, there we go, got it. Okay, let me just let go for a second. There you go, you see that? So the two circles are lined up with each other right back there. So when we put our rod back through there, it'll go through the plastic, through the handle metal, and through the metal of our emergency release handle. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, is I'm gonna put the rod through. Okay, the rod is through. I snapped the white plastic closer shut, and now I'm gonna move over across. You have this square. That is where the other end of the bracket will screw in right there with the supplied bolt. Okay, there we go. I haven't done anything tight yet. Everything's still loose so that I have some movement in all this. Because now what we need to do is I need to, I could have done this before, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I need to tighten up those two silver screws that's pinching the arm to the arm of the tailgate handle. So with a long screwdriver, I can still come up like this and get to those screws. They're kind of soft, so just be careful, make sure you have good engagement, and you want to tighten those up. We've got everything connected right there. I've tightened up all the bolts, so I've tightened up that bolt, those screws, we've closed that plastic clasp, and we've tightened that bolt right there, and we're pretty much good. So now, when this handle gets pulled to the left, it unlocks the door from the inside. Before I go any further, I'm going to close the door from the inside and test it out. Okay, we're closed in here. Let's pull the handle. Oh yeah, escape! My goal with this paracord is to have like a nice little loop that comes out of the plastic piece, it maybe hangs out like right there, and a nice little loop that I can just pull on to actuate that handle from the inside. Another thing you can do, by the way, if you didn't want to do this whole paracord method and you didn't want to drill into this, you could just, remember, this bracket is going to go right there. You could cut this bracket, like chop right there, just make sure you still have that mounting hole and that mounting hole, because you're going to need that for those two holes in the back of the panel. So you could put that bracket back on and then slice through it, and then just drill like a circle right where the orange handle is, just like wherever it ends up being, with a hole saw, and then you can probably just get your finger in there and hit that orange lever. That's one way to do it. I just feel like it takes quite a bit of force, and just to be able to get like your finger, like the tip of your finger in there, it'll be kind of hard. So that's why I want to try out this paracord method. I should mention that one thing that I've already done is I have a replacement rear tailgate handle because mine was acting up. But then the other thing that I've done is I have completely removed that actuator, like assembly, the whole door lock assembly. You can kind of see it in there where that green connection is, all that. It all comes out in one piece. I've unbolted that. You basically, I think you undo these 3 screws. It's been a little while since I've done it. You undo these 3 screws, and I would use a, what's it called? It's those impact screwdrivers that you hit with a hammer and it knocks these free. If you just try turning these with a screwdriver, there's a good chance you'll strip them. Happens a lot. And then that assembly comes out, and I just clean mine really well, and now it works so much better. It's not all gummed up and everything. So I would probably make sure you kind of addressed this and the exterior handle before you install this, just because, like I said, it already takes kind of a lot of force to get it to unlock. And if both of these things that you have are like gummed up and not working well, it's going to be really difficult. So as you can see, I've got my bracket back on, and this is where I routed the paracord behind like this, and I kind of held up the trim piece, lined it up, saw where it was going to go, and this is where I chose to drill my hole for that paracord to come through. That's where I chose to put mine. Obviously, you can put it anywhere you like, but I was just trying to keep that angle staying straight, so when you pull the cord, it's doing as little, has as little resistance as possible, and it wants to go in the direction of the pull. So that's where I'm going to try bringing my paracord through, and then I'm just going to make a loop in the end, and it'll be done. All right, I went ahead and switched out the paracord to orange because I think it'll look a lot better as like kind of like an emergency handle. And the green was kind of hard to see, but that's all I happened to have on hand at the time. So I went ahead and switched that out, put the moisture barrier back up. It's just the butyl strip was getting pretty old, and rather than cut all new plastic and new butyl rope, I just put some HVAC tape over it for now, and then put a slit in it, and here's where the string is coming out, and now we'll put the door card back on. All right, we are done, and it came out exactly as I had hoped. I got the panel back on, got everything put back together, and as you can see, we have this beautiful orange paracord that now you can use to open the rear door. Really cool. I'm glad this is done. It kind of always bothered me that there was no way to open this back door, especially if you had like a sleeping platform in the back, and this would be the easiest way to get out. Always liked that the Gen 1 and Gen 2 had this, so I'm glad this is done. And yeah, if you guys like my shovel setup, these are just quick fix, 2 quick fix. This one's a smaller one than this one. I'll link them in the description. And yeah, you can totally still use this as a handle to open and close the door. But yeah, you can get this really cool emergency release lever for your tailgate door for your Gen 3 Montero at lusaoverland.com. I'll see you guys in the next video.